Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Reading from Cancer 2, Chapter 3, Text 23. Same theme. What spiritual life is like when it's missing, or what material life is like when faculties of human form of life are misused. The person who has not at any time received the dust of the feet of the Lord's pure devotee upon his head is certainly a dead body. And the person who has never experienced the aroma of the tulsi leaves from the lotus feet of the Lord is also a dead body, although breathing. And the language of Prabhupada's purports in this section is really beautiful. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, the breathing dead body is a ghost. When a man dies, he is called dead, but when he again appears in a subtle form, not visible to our present vision, and yet acts, such a dead body is called a ghost. Ghosts are always very bad elements, always creating a fearful situation for others. Similarly, the ghost-like non-devotees who have no respect for the pure devotees nor for the Vishnu deity in the temples create a fearful situation for the devotees at all times. The Lord never accepts any offering of such impure ghosts. There's a common saying that one should first love the dog of the beloved before one shows any loving sentiments for the beloved. The stage of pure devotion is attained by sincerely serving a pure devotee of the Lord. The first condition of devotional service to the Lord is therefore to be a servant of a pure devotee. And this condition is fulfilled by the statement, quote, reception of the dust of the lotus feet of a pure devotee who has always served another pure devotee, unquote. That is the way of pure disciplic succession or devotional parampara. Paragraph. Maharaj Rahugana inquired from the great Saint Jad Bharat as to how he had attained such a liberated stage of a Paramahamsa, and in answer the great saint replied as follows. 5.12.12 Rahoganai tat tapasana jati datitayaya chejaya nirva panad grahadva nachandasa naiva jalagni suryayar Vina Mahatpada Rajo Vishekam. Celebrated Rajo Vishekam. Pada Rajo Vishekam. Mahatpada Rajo Vishekam. O King Rahugana, the perfectional stage of devotional service or the Paramahamsa stage of life cannot be attained unless one is blessed by the dust of the feet of great devotees. It is never attained by tapasya, the Vedic worshipping process, accepting of the renounced order of life, the discharge of the duties of household life, the chanting of Vedic hymns, or the performance of penances in the hot sun, within cold water, or before the blazing fire. Paragraph. In other words, Lord Sri Krishna, is the property of his pure, unconditional devotees, and as such only the devotees can deliver Krishna. to another devotee, semicolon. Krishna is never obtainable directly. Lord Chaitanya therefore designated himself as Gopi Bharto Padakamalayor Dasa Dasanudasa, or the most obedient servant of the servants of the Lord, who maintains the Gopi damsels at Vrindavan. A pure devotee therefore never approaches the Lord directly, but tries to please the servant of the Lord's servants, and thus the Lord becomes pleased. And only then can the devotee relish the taste of tulasi leaves stuck to his lotus feet. In the Brahma Samhita it is said that the Lord is never to be found by becoming a great scholar in Vedic literatures, but he is very easily approachable through his pure devotee in Vrindavan. All the pure devotees pray for the mercy of Srimati Radharani, the pleasure potency of Lord Krishna. Srimati Radharani is a tender-hearted, feminine counterpart of the Supreme Whole, resembling the perfectional stage of the worldly feminine nature. Therefore, the mercy of Radharani is available very readily to the sincere devotees. And once she recommends such a devotee to Lord Krishna, the Lord at once accepts the devotee's admittance into his association. The conclusion is, therefore, that one should be more serious about seeking the mercy of the devotee than that of the Lord directly. And by doing so, by the goodwill of the devotee, the natural attraction for the service of the Lord will be revived. Prabhupada has made a very beautiful rendering of something that just on the face of it, the verse is a little perplexing. The dead body and the dead body, not receiving dust from the feet of the Lord's pure devotees upon his head. Such a person is a dead body. Never experienced the aroma of tulsi leaves from the lotus feet of the Lord, dead body. Although breathing. So the first part is, it helps. What's the dead body? Although breathing. The dead body, although breathing. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has revealed that means a poetic way of saying a ghost. Where the body is dead, but the entity is breathing. So exactly how a ghost breathes if they don't have a body. So what's that breathing? Therefore, the ghost wants to occupy another's body and experience pleasure through another's body, and therefore they're dangerous and unwanted. So these favorable devotional activities they're missing in materialistic society, which is largely the world today. Now, supposing someone has smelled the aroma from the tulsi that's touched the lotus feet of the Lord, what does that mean? What happens to that person? It's a beginning of devotional service. Mature stage may not have yet been reached. In many cases has not been reached. But spiritual life it immediately has begun. By contact with that which is Krishna's form, or that which is in relation to Krishna's form, like the food that has become prasadam by being offered to the Lord. Or we discussed this the other day, the paraphernalia, his garland, his garments. Remember, there was a period of time when Nectar Devotion was published and devotees started reading, so it became kind of a fashion to appeal to the pujari room to get some article of clothing from the deity and sew that article of clothing onto one's chadar or bead bag or something, because it's not different than Krishna. And remember Krishna to get the mercy of Krishna, having that contact. And it's not artificial, it's real. Because contact with Krishna, or that which is in relation to Krishna, sanctifies. Although again, the point I was making, the mature stage may not be there. For example, the public Harinam, where people get a chance to hear chanting. Because of COVID and everything, it's kind of quieted down significantly. I remember that was an integral part of the Festival of the Holy Name. One evening, all the devotees were encouraged to come together downtown Chicago during the public event, the Taste of Chicago. We would chant, and many people would come by, and some would laugh, and some would stare, and some would just walk by unfazed. Some would come and ask. Some would take literature. So whatever the subjective response was, in principle, spiritual life has begun for such a person. And then in different gradations of their involvement with that sound, but just by hearing the sound, or by the distribution of prasadam. Very important. For helping the world around us to become awake, at least, a step in the direction of awake to Krishna consciousness. So this is some expanding on that body, that person who has not smelled the fragrance of the tulsi, that has touched the lotus feet of the Lord, is like a dead body, although breathing. It's ghost-like. The semblance of life without real life. So real life is making some contact with the personality of Godhead, or that which has been in contact with the personality of Godhead. There's a definition given in Hari Bhakti Vilas for prasad. And it's that when we hear the word prasadam, normally, at least I'm accustomed to, most of us are accustomed to thinking of food that's been offered becomes prasadam. But the definition in Hari Bhakti Vilas is that which is or has been in contact with the Supreme Lord or his body, etc. So the Tulsi is already sacred, and Tulsi, having touched the lotus feet of the Lord, then becomes especially sacred. Like when we take Charanamrita, there's Tulsi because the deity's been bathed in water that has Tulsi, or on his feet were Tulsi. So in the Charanamrita, there's Tulsi leaves, or the water being sanctified by touch with the lotus feet of the Lord and the Tulsi, which were in the touch of the lotus feet of the Lord. So it's nice to take Charanamrita. Purifying, sanctifying, spiritualizing. Just even some sips. Sanctifying. Then the other, receiving the dust of the lotus feet, that's the first half of the verse, which Prabhupada spends the most time in the purport. And it means one who has gotten the mercy of the Supreme Lord, and one who gets the mercy of one who has gotten the mercy of the Supreme Lord. And then keep going. One who's gotten the mercy, one who's gotten the mercy, who's gotten the mercy of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. That's essentially, it's the essence of devotional life. Stated conversely, without that, devotional life doesn't have real meaning. Or, stated positively again, through that, the mercy of one who has received the mercy of the Lord's lotus feet, receiving dust from the lotus feet of the devotee who has received the mercy of the Supreme Lord, has a very powerful effect. Mahat Pada Rajobhishekam. Many times Prabhupada referred to this phrase, not always making reference to the source or the Bhagavatam 5th canto source, but it's Jad Bharat explaining how he became Jad Bharat. By the mercy of a devotee, by the mercy of the dust from the feet of the devotee. My thoughts are going to that verse Raghunath Das Goswami wrote in 2 books about praying birth after birth, not praying for liberation, but birth after birth. May I get the dust from the lotus feet of Rupa Goswami. And then what does it mean, getting the dust from the feet of Rupa Goswami? Birth after birth, particularly. I mean, they were together physically in Vrindavan at the same time. So there's a possibility of getting some dust from the feet of Rupa Goswami. So what about birth after birth? Where's Rupa Goswami? Where's the dust from the feet of Rupa Goswami? Where's getting the dust from the feet? What does it mean? I think there's some reference. I'm looking in the purport for that meaning. Well, I can't find it. In one sense, it's literal, and in another sense, it's poetic. Dust from the feet of a pure devotee like Rupa Goswami means being in a humble mood, that therefore at his feet, and even dust from the feet, that which touches the feet of Rupa Goswami, or the desire of Uddhava to have dust from the feet of the gopis. Same, Ukura desiring to have dust from the feet of the Brijbasis. Same, Lord Brahma desiring to have dust from the feet of Brijbasis. That's their mercy. Dust from the feet of a pure devotee means to get their mercy and be in a abjectly humble mood to be in service, so that one is eligible to get the dust of the feet of that devotee. If one cannot physically get the dust from the feet of the devotee. It has its poetic sense, in other words. Because otherwise, you could be like, what are you to do? Getting the mercy from such a person. And such a person, like Rupa Goswami, he wrote so many books, and through those so many books, he gave lots and lots and lots of mercy. So one takes shelter of his writings with the eagerness to receive his mercy. That's taking shelter of the dust of the lotus feet of Rupa Goswami, and same Srila Prabhupada. I mentioned this the other day, but when Prabhupada was visiting in Berkeley for the first Rath Yatra, which was really a phenomenal event, the devotees had arranged at that little storefront in Frederick Street, they had arranged for Prabhupada to be interviewed by some reporters. So there's several reporters in the room with Prabhupada. It wasn't in the temple room, it was in the quarters where he was staying. But there was a nice Vyasa-san for him to sit in his quarters. It later became the Vyasa-san of the Berkeley Temple. So some of the reporters were asking, what's going to happen when you leave this world? How will things carry on? The report, I wasn't there, but the report was Prabhupada immediately replied, I will not die, because I will live forever in my books. So the opportunity, he lived forever in his books, means get the dust from the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada through the mercy that he bestowed in his Transcendental Bhaktivedanta purports. Padarajo Abhishekam. Abhishek. Bathe in the dust of lotus feet of the pure devotee. So let's see if there's some discussion.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. The point of helping the world around us to awaken to Krishna consciousness. So, like I feel that I have some ideas and feel enthusiastic also about it. But like Bhagavad Gita says that determination is also in three modes. So I'm not I'm not necessarily able to implement those ideas, although I had been thinking about them for a few years now, and keep thinking about, okay, this obstacle or that reason, this reason. So I just want to understand, Maharaj, that um, how can we like go for at least take one step towards it, and at least some implementation, some portion, so that we gain confidence and then you're able to move little more forward.
This question is a theme for your questions. No problem. I don't mind responding so that, as it becomes clear. There's a few themes that you have. This is one. And to your capacity, although under the influence of the modes of nature, beneath that influence of the modes of nature, there's a soul that's pure. And according to the position that one is in, you try to make a sincere offering. With the confidence that Krishna is very kind and he'll recognize the devotion with which you're making that offering, although imperfect. Or say it differently, the endeavor is the perfection. Because Krishna accepts. Something that will help you understand this type of question is parenting. Supposing one of your children, less than perfect, wants to do something. They know that's important to you. And they don't do it so nicely, but they make some effort and they make this offering. What do you feel? Oh, it was insufficient. You going to feel that? No. So, Krishna is the Supreme Father. He knows our circumstance. And limited and imperfect and with shortcomings as we are, we're being encouraged, and so we do, to make some offering.
Swaraj, I also understand that, and you have very kindly explained this to me earlier as well. But there is some like pushing from inside. I feel that's why I keep asking, but I understand. It's just coming and coming to me.
No problem. No problem.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much. I have this question and I might not be able to accurately frame it. Therefore, the background behind the question. The question is related to the mind and nature. My understand. I think that there are certain things that I can change and there are certain things that I cannot change. So interestingly, yesterday and day before yesterday, we were visiting Manah Shiksha. And we did talk about nature, I think very briefly. And my question is, in the 6th chapter, Krishna says that although difficult, but mind can be controlled. So what I'm taking that as is mind can be changed. In the 18th chapter, Krishna says that uh, you are refusing to fight today, but bound by the nature or compelled by the nature, you will fight anyway. So to me, it seems that he's saying that by your nature, you would fight, meaning nature cannot be changed. So I'm looking at these two things, mind and nature, and I'm saying that, okay, I can change my mind by gradual practice, but I cannot change my nature. But because Krishna has given this whole Bhagavad Gita to us, and that he knows that there would be some aspects of things that we can change, and some we cannot change, as he is saying in chapter 18th. I want to understand which ones should I try to change and which ones should I make peace with. Thank you.
Your question is very clear. For starters, what Krishna says in chapter 18 is not a checkmate, not a full stop on transformation of nature. Nature, in the way that you're using it, has to do with the modes. And the influence of the modes can change, or nature can change. Prabhupada's very simple explanation, really simple. But practice becomes second nature. Supposing somebody's nature is they drink alcohol. Supposing, does that mean that that's it? Or someone's nature is they talk too much. Is it a nature that can change or not change? So by practice, it becomes second nature. That the second nature replaces the conditioning. Conditioning changes, that's all. It becomes that instead of this. Nature can change. So Krishna's statement in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita has to do with Arjuna does not have the adhikar for karma sannyas, because that was what he was proposing. You have your nature, and you're going to act according to your nature. Supposing you try karma sannyas, you're going to act according to your nature. Now, that's speaking of as you say, the mind, and the modes of nature influencing the mind, and the modes of nature then influencing the mind and one's actions. That's conditioning. But conditioning can change, and conditioning can become completely dismantled. Conventionally and ordinarily, nature can be modified to a degree, but there's some fundamental things. So your question is, how do I select between natures that cannot and natures that can be changed? And the answer is they can all be changed. To get them to change, you act according to nature in a fashion regulated by codes of the Vedas. And that way nature can be purified, then eventually nature can be changed. The influence of the modes, it's another way of saying, the influence of the modes can be managed, and the influence by the Vedic paradigm, or culture of proper conduct according to the codes of the Vedas, and changed, and evaporated upon the mind. Bhakti, we've said so many times, chapter 25 of Canto 3, Bhakti has the power to dissolve the mind. So what's what's the nature that's influencing the mind have to do when the mind is dissolved? The modes continue to exist, but they're not influencing the mind if the mind is dissolved. So there's degrees or stages of changing, modifying, and becoming free from the influences of one's nature. And that's the bhakti process.
Thank you, Maharaj.
So my question is like I have been in touch with a Jewish lady who is a teacher, and she
No, it's okay. I'm just sitting up.
has
Pay
been she has shown many times like a willingness to come in the camp and volunteer there, and she wants to know about our practices and all those things, but I have been little bit hesitant to share much about all this because I never wanted to discuss religion with her at the place of work where we are working together. So, but she has been reminding me constantly that, oh, Gita camp is coming, I want to come, I want to come. So, can you give me some tips? How do I like go about it?
Well, your caution has merit, but excessive caution can be unnecessary. I would, to keep it short, I would recommend that you be a little straightforward with her, a little forthright, and say, I want to share something with you. You know, some persons who are a little older and kind of accustomed to a certain culture and tradition and way may find this culture and tradition in a way to be foreign and therefore uncomfortable, because sometimes it's like that. So you're very enthusiastic. That's nice. Likely something that you'll see or experience that will raise some flag for you. So my request is you come and share that with me so I can help you process it. And don't be surprised when it comes, because it's like guaranteed going to come. Not that perhaps maybe something's going to come. I mean, supposing I went to your synagogue with you, or supposing I went to some foreign country and stayed there for a while, I would experience things that were new to me. So it would be really helpful if somebody that's from that culture could help me understand things, at least, have a lens to look at it in a balanced way. So, Sandy, however you, whatever the lady is, I don't know. But, you want to encourage her, you don't want to end up discouraging her.
I don't want to end up discouraging her.
Yeah, so you just say like that. That's honest. That's honest. When you're honest, then that's the foundation for an honest relationship. And then later on she could say, yeah, you were right. Look, here's the 6 things that like I don't understand. No, it depends on the person. The not understanding could be an adventure, and not understanding could be a complaint. So it depends on the person. So you let her know or ask. Are you good at taking things that are new to you and it becomes an adventure. It'll be things that are new to you and it gets irritating, makes you uncomfortable. You know, and your mind starts to go into I don't want that. What's your can so you just open the door for the other kind of the dialogue kind of exchange with her. And then even if she ends up at the end of the Gita camp with some mixed impressions, that's okay.
Although I have already given her, like I told her to study chapter 14, and she was very happy. She said, I will do it. And then she is very much into teaching all these timelines and all those things. So I asked her, I will give you something you can prepare. She said, yes, of course, I will do that.
Okay, fine.
So,
Service helps to make a connection with an experience, a new experience. It's good that you're cautious. It's also don't be overcautious. Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Oh, there's an online question.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Rukmini Devi Dasi said to Krishna that his lotus feet are even more dear than Lord himself to her heart. What's the meaning of the lotus feet?
It's a poetic expression. Maybe it's literal, but most likely it's a poetic expression that means just being in the mood of service. That's certainly Rukmini. She's just not like fascinated with his feet as much as she's fascinated with, her disposition is in the mode of humble service, whatever is going on. Next. That's it? Okay.
Thank you.
Krishna.